Welcome to the Celestial Saga channel. We thought we controlled reality, that we knew all the laws of the universe. But humans proved to us that even the fundamental rules are just assumptions. What did they do to those who challenged them? Watch to the end to find out. The Grand Chamber of the United Species Assembly felt unusually cramped, despite its immense size. Thousands of eyes, tentacles, and sensory organs were all focused intently on High Speaker Alara Juno, who activated the quantum display. The footage began playing again, the hauntingly beautiful yet dreadful moment when humanity revealed to us the full extent of their power. A few representatives averted their gaze. They'd witnessed it so many times before. 3 trillion lives lost. Alara Juno's crystalline voice broke the heavy silence, slicing through the tension. The entire swarm collective is gone, not defeated, not scattered, gone. Her silver-scaled hands quivered as she held onto the podium. Ambassador Tarek, you were the last to communicate with the human delegation. Explain to us how we could have miscalculated so severely. I stood up, my 4 hearts pounding, echoing in the heavy silence. All the galaxy's most powerful beings were waiting for my words. The warrior poets of the Nexus conquered, their bodies glowing with quantum energy, stood tall. The silicon-based Mindweave Collective's crystalline forms shimmered under the light of 3 suns. Even the feared Vayner Dominion's death priests sat unnervingly still, their usual arrogance replaced by something I had never expected: fear. The humans, I began, warned us exactly what would happen. We simply chose not to listen. The memory of my last meeting with Ambassador Maya Westbrook replayed in my mind. Her cold, resolute eyes, her calm, unwavering tone. Touch our colonies again, and we will show you why every intelligent species evolves to feel fear, she had said. General Garrick Valen of the Vayner Dominion banged his armored fist on the council table. Impossible. We monitored their technology. Their fastest ships barely reached 0.8 light speed. Their weapons were rudimentary fusion devices. Their defenses were insignificant. That was our first error, I responded, my gaze locked onto the holographic display, showing the moment humanity revealed its true power. We thought we were witnessing their technological progress, but in reality they were studying us, testing our assumptions while quietly building something that should not have existed. High Speaker Ilara Kor raised her ceremonial staff, bringing order to the growing murmurs. For the official record, Ambassador Tarek, please outline the series of events that led to this catastrophe. I nodded, taking a moment to gather my thoughts. The faces around me, some humanoid, others completely alien, shared the same desperate need for understanding. The Draconid Imperium representatives flexed their massive wings nervously, and the quantum ghost diplomats of the ethereal consciousness flickered with anxiety. It all began with what we thought was a simple demonstration of force, I explained. The Swarm Collective's attack on the Nova Haven colony. Tragic, yes, but one we believed would force humanity to accept their place in the galactic hierarchy. After all, every emerging species faces a test. The strong survive, adapt, and find their place. The weak. I paused, glancing at the empty seats where the Swarm Collective's representatives should have been. The weak perish, but humanity didn't follow the script. They didn't beg for mercy. They didn't negotiate. For 3 entire cycles, they remained silent. We thought they were cowering, hiding behind their primitive defenses. But we were wrong. They were building something that defied all known laws of physics. Something that turned the fundamental forces of the universe into a weapon. The chamber fell quiet as I prepared to describe the events at Nova Haven, knowing humanity's actions would change the course of the galaxy forever. The attack on Nova Haven wasn't designed to destroy humanity. The Swarm Collective intended it as a correction, a reminder of the natural order, how deeply we misunderstood what we were dealing with. I watched the security feeds alongside the rest of the council. Nova Haven was humanity's crowning achievement. Their first self-sustaining colony beyond their solar system, a terraformed blue and green jewel, home to 3 million humans, built over 50 years. The collective arrived with overwhelming force, 12 hive ships, each carrying millions of drones. Standard intimidation tactics. The first wave hit the orbital defense platforms, armed with primitive kinetic weapons and nuclear deterrence. Exactly what we expected from a Level 3 civilization. The platforms fell within minutes. The humans fought back, of course, their ships barely reaching light speed, throwing themselves at the collective's ships. Their bravery was admirable but ultimately futile, yet something was off. I noticed it during the last transmission from Governor Clara West. While others saw panic in her eyes, I saw something entirely different. She wasn't begging for help. She was reading a prepared statement. "You think this show of force will teach humanity its place," she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. "You think we'll bow before superior numbers and technology. This message is your only warning. Humanity does not bow. We rise." The collective breached the colony's main dome at 0300 Standard Time. Their drones flooded the streets, methodically dismantling the infrastructure. Standard subjugation tactics. The death toll climbed: 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. The council chamber was quiet except for the data feeds. Then the humans did something extraordinary. As the drones neared the central administrative complex, the colony's quantum communications array sent a simple message. It echoed across all frequencies. "Negotiation window closed. Conservation protocol lifted. May God forgive us, for we will not forgive them." Commander Vax of the Draconid fleet chuckled. "Threats from a dying species," he said. I remember his words clearly, because they would later become infamous for their irony. The collective's drones reached the colony's central reactor. Standard procedure was to capture it intact. No reason to destroy valuable resources. The reactor core showed unusual readings, but nothing alarming to the hive ship's sensors. That's when we lost the feed. When it returned, Nova Haven was gone. Not destroyed, gone. A perfect sphere of nothingness occupied the space where the colony had been. 12 million collective drones and 3 million humans had simply ceased to exist. The hive ship's sensors detected no explosion, no radiation, no weapon signatures. Just an empty sphere of absolute void, precisely 1,000 kilometers in diameter. The collective, following standard procedure, dispatched drones to investigate. They disappeared at the sphere's edge. Probes vanished. Scanner beams were absorbed. Even light itself bent around the anomaly. Impossible technology, the Science Council declared. A Level 3 civilization cannot possess such capabilities. They theorized it was a last-ditch suicide weapon that had obliterated the colony and its attackers. Then, humanity responded. A simple text transmission, broadcast from every human settlement and ship. Test successful. Conservation protocol fully lifted. You have 24 hours to withdraw all forces from human space. No negotiation, no second warning. The council erupted into chaos. The Vanner Dominion called for immediate military action. The ethereal consciousness suggested diplomacy. The Draconid Imperium proposed quarantine. Through all the discord, I remembered something Ambassador Maya Westbrook had told me months ago, during what I had thought was a casual conversation. "The funny thing about humans," she had said, "is that they never show their full hand until—" "We have to," I said firmly. "It's not just about having the best cards, it's about knowing when to play them." The collective, in their hubris, ignored the warning. They saw the loss of 12 million drones as a minor setback, an acceptable cost to subjugate a rising species. They launched a second attack, larger than the first, targeting the human colony of Nua. But none of those ships would ever make it to their destination. That was when things truly became terrifying. What followed revealed that Nova Haven wasn't humanity's last resort, nor even their most powerful weapon. It was just their opening move. What scared us most wasn't the devastation at Nova Haven. It was the eerie silence that followed. Earth, usually a constant source of communications, went completely dark. Not just the official channels, everything. The quantum relays registered no transmissions, no network activity, no standard transportation beacons, nothing at all. The Drade Defense Network reported human ships vanishing from their patrol routes, not retreating, not jumping to FTL, just vanishing. Automated trading posts registered human ships arriving as normal, conducting their business, then vanishing from all sensors the moment they left the docking zones. "They're running scared," War Chief Zorath stated during an emergency session, gathering what remained of their forces in their home system. He didn't seem convinced by his own words. Then came the energy readings. The Mindweave Collective's deep space sensors picked up massive energy surges across human space. The scale was unprecedented, each spike signifying more energy than a dying star. Yet conventional scans showed nothing. No ships, no stations, no obvious sources. My third heart skipped a beat when Science Director Ari Lennox showed me the pattern analysis. "Look at the timing," she said, her crystalline form pulsing with anxiety. "These aren't random occurrences. They're synchronized. This is a countdown. The quantum harmonics representatives were the first to grasp the true implications. Their energy-based consciousness gave them unique insight into power manipulation. During a private council meeting, their chief resonator, Thalira Soren, shared their findings. "The humans aren't building weapons," she declared, her form flickering rapidly. "They are rewriting local space-time." The council dismissed her theory as absurd. A Level 3 civilization couldn't possibly master such control over fundamental forces. The energy requirements alone would exceed anything known to us. But the signs continued to mount. The Swarm Collective's second attack force reported strange malfunctions as they neared Nua. Their quantum navigation systems showed they were simultaneously at their intended coordinates and back at their starting point. Drone minds experienced time in strange ways. Some perceived seconds as hours, others experienced days in mere moments. Then came the event that shook even the most skeptical members of the council. A Vayner Dominion battlecruiser, investigating a human trading post, reported an encounter with a single human transport ship. Standard procedure was to demand inspection rights. The transport requested a brief delay. In an act of characteristic Vayner aggression, the cruiser's captain ordered a warning shot, but the beam never reached its target. Instead, the sensors showed it striking the battlecruiser's engines from 3 days in the past. Debates erupted in the council chambers about how to respond. The ethereal consciousness called for immediate peaceful contact. The Draconid Imperium prepared its fleets for full-scale war. The Silicon consciousness ran probability calculations, which crashed their primary systems. Amidst all this, humanity remained silent. No demands, no threats, no communication at all. Just those energy spikes, growing stronger and more frequent, rippling through space like thunder before a storm. Ambassador Maya Westbrook's final words to me echoed in my mind. "The problem with being the most powerful species in the galaxy is that you forget what it's like to be afraid." Humanity never forgot. We just learned to harness that fear and turn it into something else. And here's the truly terrifying part. We've been holding back all this time. We've been holding back. We detected the final energy surge exactly 24 hours after humanity's warning. It made the previous spike seem insignificant. Every sensor in the galaxy registered it. Every quantum computer calculated its implications. Every species felt its reverberation through the fabric of space-time itself. That's when we realized this wasn't just about revenge for Nova Haven. This wasn't even about putting the Swarm Collective in their place. This was humanity's way of showing the galaxy that everything we had assumed about them, every assessment of their capabilities, every dismissal of their potential, had been catastrophically wrong. The true display of power was about to begin. The humans called it Project Prometheus. We didn't learn its true name until everything had ended, from the data packets they sent across every quantum frequency, not as a boast, but as a warning. A detailed explanation of what they had achieved so no species would ever repeat the collective's mistake. Lieutenant Commander Luke Ashford, the project's lead scientist, left a personal message for me. His hologram appeared in my private quarters the night after the demonstration. "Ambassador Tarek," he said, looking older than I remembered from our last diplomatic encounter. "By now, you've witnessed what we are capable of. But you deserve to know why we were able to do it." The truth was both simpler and more terrifying than anyone had ever imagined. Humanity hadn't developed some new superweapon. They had done something far worse. They had learned to treat the laws of physics as mere suggestions, not hard rules. The Nova Haven incident wasn't a weapons test. It was humanity's first public demonstration of their probability manipulation fields. They didn't destroy the colony. They simply changed the probability of its existence to zero, not just in the present, but across all potential timelines. The human ships hadn't been disappearing. They had been operating in what Luke Ashford called quantum superposition states, existing in multiple locations at once, only choosing their position when observed. The energy surges we detected, those were humanity's generators practicing localized causality manipulation. The council chamber erupted in chaos when I relayed Luke Ashford's message. The Silicon consciousness representatives nearly overloaded their processors, trying to calculate the consequences. The quantum harmonics delegates flickered in agitation. Even the usually stoic Draconids showed signs of distress. "They can't control this kind of power," War Chief Zorath bellowed. "They'll unravel the very fabric of reality." And that's when humanity gave their first full demonstration, right in the heart of Swarm Collective space. The collective's home system had 15 planets, 3 artificial worlds, and a Dyson swarm harvesting energy from their sun. Without warning, probability fields blossomed across the system. We watched in horror as causality itself bent to human will. The collective's formidable fleet found itself fighting battles they had already lost. Their drones experienced every possible death at once. The artificial worlds calculated their own probability of existence and found it rapidly approaching zero. The Dyson swarm became quantum entangled with itself, each segment existing in contradictory states. Science director Ari Lennox's analysis confirmed our worst fears. The humans weren't just altering the present. They were retroactively adjusting the fundamental constants of that entire region of space. In some places, light moved faster. In others, gravity reversed. Quantum uncertainty spread from the subatomic scale to the macroscopic. The collective tried to fight back. The hive ships launched a desperate counterattack, but humanity responded in an entirely unexpected way, by manipulating the probability that the attack had ever been conceived, erasing it from existence. Not just the attack itself, but the very decision to launch it was wiped from reality. "You don't understand," Luke Ashford's message continued, his voice calm but tinged with an unsettling gravity. "We didn't develop this technology to dominate the galaxy. We built it because we knew one day someone would push us too far. The collective didn't just assault our colony, they attacked our children. There isn't a human alive who didn't lose someone at Nova Haven. So we lifted the restrictions on Project Prometheus," he explained further. "All of them. In a mere 6 hours, the once mighty swarm collective vanished, not through conventional means of destruction, but by erasing every possible probability that could have allowed their existence. Their worlds remained, their structures intact, but the collective itself became a statistical impossibility in our reality. The reactions from the other species came swiftly and predictably. The Vayner Dominion, fearing their own destruction, immediately sought peace. The ethereal consciousness offered to exchange knowledge and culture. The Draconid Imperium, in a hasty retreat, withdrew all their forces from human space, abandoning their equipment in the process. But it was the Silicon consciousness that truly understood the magnitude of what had transpired. Their quantum processors had finally completed their calculations. The results showed that humanity hadn't just recently developed such technology. The potential for it had been encoded into their very DNA, refined over millions of years. They had always been capable of this. They simply chose not to use it until there was no other option. "Remember this," Luke Ashford's message concluded. "Humanity didn't seek this power. We didn't want this fight. But remember, you didn't just wake a sleeping giant. You forced it to evolve." The council fell into stunned silence as the message ended. We all realized the same terrifying truth. Humanity hadn't just reshaped the rules of war or galactic politics. They had shattered our understanding of what was possible. And in doing so, they had changed everything. Without warning, the human fleet appeared deep within the heart of collective space, not through conventional FTL travel, but by adjusting the probability of their presence until it became an undeniable certainty. Led by the flagship Terra Ascendant under Admiral Lila Cortez, 200 ships surrounded the collective's primary nexus. The collective's response was as expected. They deployed 30,000 ships and billions of drones, their entire remaining arsenal. Traditional tactics suggested this overwhelming force would be more than enough. The humans were outnumbered by 150 to 1. The collective's energy output could have powered an entire galaxy. "This is your final chance for surrender," Admiral Lila Cortez's voice echoed across all frequencies. Her words were translated instantly into every known language, even into the collective's neurochemical signals. "You killed our children. We are here to collect the debt." The collective's counteroffer came in the form of a brutal assault. Energy beams, quantum torpedoes, gravity lances, enough firepower to obliterate a planet. Time seemed to slow as the barrage rushed toward the human fleet. Then, Admiral Lila Cortez spoke a single word: "Begin." The battle that followed defied all expectation. The human ships didn't simply dodge the collective's attacks. They manipulated the probability that those attacks had ever been launched in the first place. Quantum torpedoes found themselves fired into empty space. Energy beams curved in impossible angles, striking their sources from directions that should not have been possible. But it was their offensive tactics that truly displayed humanity's new capabilities. The Terra Ascendant projected a probability field, causing half the collective's fleet to experience their own destruction from a battle that had not yet occurred. The psychological damage was catastrophic. Drone minds collapsed under the weight of memories of deaths they hadn't even experienced yet. Commander Venus Stone, leading the 3rd Human Battle Group, demonstrated a technique that even the Council's most brilliant scientists still cannot comprehend. Her ships created localized time loops around collective vessels, trapping them in moments of their own destruction. The drones experienced their final moments over and over, trapped in an eternal second, unable to retreat or move forward. The collective tried to adapt, launching their notorious viral warfare spores, designed to rewrite the neural patterns of their enemies. The humans responded by locally altering the laws of biology. The spores found themselves in a reality where their molecular structure was mathematically impossible. "You don't understand," Admiral Leila Cortez broadcasted as her fleet advanced relentlessly. "We're not playing by your rules anymore. We're not even playing by our own rules. We're rewriting them." The collective's primary nexus, a massive structure the size of a small moon, attempted to quantum tunnel to safety. The humans simply adjusted the constants governing quantum mechanics in that region of space. The tunnel collapsed, leaving the nexus trapped in normal space. What happened next was almost anticlimactic. The human fleet surrounded the nexus, their probability fields crackling with energy. Admiral Leila Cortez made one final transmission for Nova Haven. The probability fields activated simultaneously, and the nexus didn't explode or collapse. It simply ceased to be probable. The change rippled outward, a wave of altered reality sweeping across the entire collective. Their neural networks, their shared consciousness, their very existence became an impossibility in our universe. 3 trillion minds snuffed out, not through violence or brute force, but by the cold mathematical certainty that they could no longer exist. The battle, if such a thing could even be called that, lasted a mere 17 minutes. The human fleet hung motionless in space, surrounded by lifeless ships and dormant drones, monuments to a civilization that never truly existed. Admiral Leila Cortez's final message was broadcast to every species in the galaxy. "Let the record show that humanity didn't seek this power. We didn't want this fight. But remember, you didn't just wake a sleeping giant, you forced it to evolve." A month has passed since the collective's annihilation. The galaxy has transformed in ways none of us could have foreseen, not through conquest or dominance, but through the chilling realization of what happens when you push a species to its breaking point. Surprisingly, the humans didn't seek vengeance against the Council for our inaction during the Nova Haven massacre. Instead, Ambassador Maya Westbrook returned to the Council with a proposal. Humanity was willing to share certain technological advancements, the safe ones, as she put it, in exchange for a new galactic covenant. The terms were straightforward. Every species, no matter their level of development, would have the right to exist without interference. The strong could no longer prey on the weak. The advanced could not dominate the primitive. Any violation of these terms would have consequences. The Vanner Dominion predictably tested these terms first. They launched a small incursion into a developing system, believing their proximity to Earth would shield them. The humans didn't even need to send ships. They simply altered the probability of the Vanners' success to 0. The entire invasion force found itself back in its home ports, with no recollection of how it had returned. Science Director Ari Lennox's most recent analysis confirmed what many of us had feared. Humanity's capabilities were still growing. They weren't just maintaining their probability fields anymore. They were learning to weave them into the very fabric of space-time itself. The message was unmistakable. Don't push them further. But perhaps the most profound change was how we now view ourselves. The once mighty Draconid Imperium, proud of their evolutionary superiority, now invests heavily in researching consciousness and its potential. The Silicon Consciousness has begun exploring organic computing, curious about the untapped secrets hidden within the chaotic, inefficient patterns of biological life. Just last week, I spoke with Commander Luke Ashford once again. He appeared exhausted, but there was more. Something in his eyes that spoke of the burden of knowledge, a weight that can never be lifted. "You know what's truly terrifying?" he said, his gaze fixed on the stars. "We're still holding back. What we did to the collective, that was us showing restraint. That was precision. We could have done far worse. We could have erased them from all possible timelines. wiped them out so completely that even the memory of their existence would have been mathematically impossible. When he turned to face me, I saw in his eyes the same look I had once seen in Ambassador Maya Westbrook's before the demonstration. But that's not who we want to be. We don't aspire to rule the galaxy. We don't want to be gods. We just want what we've always wanted, to explore, to learn, to grow, and to ensure our children can do the same without fear. The Council has since put in place new protocols. Any sign of aggression toward developing species is immediately met with sanctions. The strong are learning to show gentleness. The advanced are discovering the value of wisdom, and all of us are learning the real meaning of potential. Humanity didn't just show us the power to reshape reality. They showed us the wisdom to understand when not to. Their restraint, in fact, is more frightening than their strength. Their mercy holds greater power than their wrath. Just yesterday, the first new human colony since Nova Haven was established. They named it Phoenix Haven. At the heart of this colony, a quantum beacon sends out a simple message to all frequencies, in all languages. We remember what we can become when pushed too far. We choose to be better. We choose protection over destruction. But make no mistake, we remember, and we are watching. The galaxy has entered a new era, not one of fear or conquest, but one of cautious respect. We now understand that the most dangerous species isn't the one that bears its fangs, but the one that shows you exactly what it can do and then decides not to. The humans have a saying, never push a peaceful person too far because when they break, they shatter reality itself. We thought it was simply a metaphor. Now we know better. End of historical record. Ambassador Cale Vorn, signing off. May we never forget the lessons etched in probability and fear.